So, there were two movies that I recently watched. One, they starred Michael Paré, that's right, two. This is going to be Eddie and the Cruisers, and Eddie and the Cruisers 2, Eddie Lives. Now, I could just as easily review each separately, but I do not have the patience for that right now. So instead, we're going to do a comparison of the two, shall we? That's something we really haven't done. Sometimes you just gotta do it. That's right. A dual-sided disc. That is fine. So, in 1964, Eddie and the Cruisers is the hottest band on the planet, and it stars Eddie Wilson as the premier star of the band. The sleeveless black shirt, got the Bruce Springsteen / George Thorogood looks, and he's got his own band of a saxophone player, bassist, drummer, and female vocalist as well. But he disappeared one day. His car just went off a bridge, and he was never seen from again. 20 years later, some people are investigating some footage, and they say, yes, he has disappeared. What is going on? All the members have moved on with their lives. One of them is a teacher, one is a DJ, and I forget what the female is doing. But there is this reporter named Maggie who wants to get everyone to reconverge and find out what happened with Eddie. So, yeah. Michael Paré, who is, of course, in Streets of Fire, plays Eddie, a charismatic front man who's not really he's not a dick. He's charismatic, I guess is the word. You know, it's like, yeah, he gets into arguments with the group, but they're not exactly like full-blown Oasis-style arguments, if you will, where they vehemently loathe each other, but instead it's just like there's just some dissatisfaction, I guess. So ultimately he goes missing. Nobody knows what happens to him once his bridge just once his car just careens off the bridge. And first movie is about reconciling with the past. It's about coming to terms with what happened and accepting it, and just trying to just reconverging and just accepting, like, okay, this is what happened. We made some great music. We will get together. We'll even find a guy who kind of looks like Eddie and have him sing. So one of the main highlights is this giant place called the Palace of Depression, which is in Jersey, and some eccentric character decided to build like a castle made out of garbage. You know, like cars, like broken down cars, a satellite dish, things like that, in order for, like, I forgot the exact purpose or motif behind it, but it is a sight to behold. So I think overall Eddie and the Cruisers won. Okay, the standout is the music. There's no denying that, especially the dark side. That's the big one. It's, you know what? It's fine. Hang on a second. The performances are good. I mean, it's like, it's your standard cheap. It's like the saxophone player dies. I mean, it's your standard stuff from 1980s. But again, it's not melodramatic. It's light drama mixed with music. Let me explain. It's about where people have these deep conversations about, like, how Eddie was way all about the music, and, you know, they kind of got into arguments with them, but he wanted to breathe life into music and make something new. Ultimately, he could not accept that, so the author who wrote the book said, yeah, what would happen if we had all the bandmates from Buddy Holly, what would happen if they moved on? Like, would they move on with their lives? Would they be just living everyday lives, or would they kind of return to the past and ultimately just embrace it? So it does raise some good questions. The houses get broken into looking for the unreleased second album, A Season in Hell, which is based off of a poet named Arthur Rhindale or something like that, who coincidentally Michael Paré at the time looks like him, coincidence or not, that is kind of funny. So they mention kind of nihilism going on, slash just nihilism going on that Eddie felt with society, and ultimately he became disillusioned with the music industry. That's the reason why he became persona non grata, and it's the mystery of just finding out what happened to him. Where are the lost tapes? Some houses get broken into. There's a whole finding out what's going on with the record industry of trying to get it promoted. There's the drama, and it's just reconciling with the past. The sax player dies of ODing on alcohol and drugs. Don't ever do that. And just accepting things, you know. It's a good movie. It's got I think 70% people like it on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics didn't like it out. I'm like, in this case, this is where the public consensus is, yes, this is a good movie. It really, really is. Ultimately, at the end, we see a bearded Eddie Wilson who's walking away from a TV store, blends into whatever city, New York, I think, and it's like, you know, it's a good drama. There are some nice there's some pieces of, is he alive? Is he driving this 1957 car? No, it turns out it's another member, Doc, who is the radio DJ. And ultimately, they have to reconvene. It's like, okay, yeah, we're going to keep the spirit of Eddie alive by releasing the second album, which goes platinum easily, selling a million in the United States. Yeah, and then, you know, it's like, it's a good, solid 7 out of 10 movie. It's a good drama, couple funny parts, nice college scene. Honestly, I think the scope of it could have been bigger. This movie felt too enclosed for what should have been a big personality. It just doesn't feel broad enough, you know? It's like, let's expand on him, like not going down the route of so many rockers, but just see him disillusioned, just fed up, just like throw a couple of things, just show that you're frustrated. But instead, it's just kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Whimper of an ending. I'm like, I kind of felt like that they really should have gone just for a little bit more explosiveness. So that's what I felt dragged the movie down. It's like a big personality, could have had a little bit more oomph to it. 6 years later, the sequel comes out, Eddie and the Cruisers 2. Eddie Lives, and we eventually see that he is a construction worker in Jersey under the assumed name of Joe West, who has a cheesy 1980s mustache, and he's seen singing. Lo and behold, there's a kid named Rick Diesel who's in kind of like, I don't know, a punk metal band akin to Motorhead, I would guess, who comes in and is like, hey, I like your singing, help me form a club. It's like, nope, that part of my life is over. It's not happening, man. This one is about Eddie coming to terms with his past, except in living in and trying to live in the present, even though that he is supposedly happy being a construction worker. He's not. He's still grappling with the past. He's still unlocked with it, and he's like, you know, get a couple moves in, come in with a suplex, get the steel chair. Like, that's eventually what the confrontation is. There's a lot more music in this movie. There's at least 10 different songs that have been done. It's song mania, if you will. So we got this supposed figure who's seen rollerblading, and it's like because he's rollerblading. That's like the big what the heck scene. But let's back up. He meets this woman named Diane, and he's like, hey, I want to paint you. And he looks like, why do you want to paint me? I'm like, because you show distance. I'm like, okay. Thinks nothing of it. Comes back, looks, hey, I painted you. Actually manages to capture the just the chiseled features of Joe West. And it's like, okay, I'm going to be displaying my paintings over at a viewing. Yes, a viewing. It's like, unfortunately, she only sells 2, and then eventually 3 because Joe gets his own portrait and begins a romance. This movie is the definition of 1980s. You got the mullet, you got the mustache, you got the montages, you've got the flashbacks. You got it all. It's all wrapped up into one package. but it is still a good movie. It's there were legit musicians of the backing band of Rock Solid, including a guy who's got to be wearing the world's dorkiest vest and just the most ridiculous yellow perm that I've ever seen. It really is something else. You have to see this classically trained pianist and then keyboardist. It's just the scene alone of him with this ridiculous red vest looking like, I really don't know, just a character I've never seen. I'm like, just for that alone, you gotta see it. The drama is a little bit more there. That's what it should have been in the first one. A little bit more not exactly in your face, but dramatic. It was like he is trying to come to terms with his past. And like, I want nothing to do with the music. What if the music doesn't do it for me? I need to live for the music, or vice versa, whatever it is. That's like the big motif of trying to come around. And Diane is indeed there to help him. And you can tell it's a sequel that was made with care and honesty. Michael Paré is really gosh darn good. And he is like, hey, I'm going to make this character work right. I've done Streets of Fire. I've done Eddie and the Cruisers 1. I want to make Eddie seem more alive than he ever was. And he feels like a good, conflicted character. That's what I wanted from the bandmates in the first one that we didn't get. But again, this movie is entangled in the 80s cheese and like arguments that conclude in 2 minutes. We got love scenes that you could tell that just happen. So, what can I say? They're both 7 out of 10s. But you know what? Which one do I like? Which one is in the corner? Is it going to be Eddie and the Cruisers 1 or Eddie and the Cruisers 2, Eddie Lives? By the way, the Eddie Lives part has to do with the a ploy by this executive from Satin Records. It's like, hey, we're going to keep the mystery of Eddie Lives, which is a play off of Elvis Lives, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, we got to find out who was playing on the background of this recently discovered tape. Turns out it was Bo Diddley and Wendell, the saxophonist from the first movie, so I kind of like the recollection there. They even get Bo Diddley to make a cameo. That was interesting, so I like that one. So, which one do I like more? Do I like the band-filled drama with the flashbacks? Or do I like Eddie's inner conflict with himself? I like the second one a little bit more. Only because we actually get to see more acting ability from Paré, and we get to see the drama that needed to happen. The first one is still really good. The set pieces are great. The Depression Palace, the Palace Depression alone was fantastic. But it felt like that the first one could have been more. The second one was what they were aiming for. And I gotta admit, several it's like we get good character drama. We get the ploy by the record company. We get Joe dealing with himself, trying to rediscover who Eddie is. And you know what? I gotta go with the second one. It's a little boring with the cliches going on, but those cliches add up and ultimately result in a great satisfaction. Music's great. So yeah, you know what? If you ever get the chance, if you want to see a good drama, good rock and roll drama, that's not like over the top, like say Spinal Tap or Airheads or something that's actually subdued and dramatic, then I recommend you watch the duology of Eddie and the Cruisers.